Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'll be giving my MLB DraftKings picks for Wednesday, August 23rd. We've got a 13-game main slate today on this Wednesday. Got a lot of pitching options today, at least up top and in the mid-range. The value tier kind of really thin. There is one value pitcher I think really stands out, but other than him, not a ton of value pitchers, but there are definitely some guys you can target the mid-range and the upper tier. We have 4 pitchers over 10K. Really, only 2 of them really intrigue me. That would be Kluber and Severino. I do like Marcus Stroman against Tampa Bay. That obviously is a really good matchup for strikeouts. But I think 11,500 is way too much to pay for Marcus Stroman. He really isn't much of a strikeout pitcher. You rarely see him get anywhere near 10Ks. Given the fact that Severino and Kluber are just a little bit more, I would much rather pay up for them. So I don't think you want to play Stroman. And there's no way I'm playing Rich Hill. If I'm going to pay up, I would just play Severino or Kluber. That is, if you are going to pay up. But me looking at this slate, I don't think I'm going to be paying up for any of those guys. Kluber against Boston, the matchup, not really ideal. Boston, a team that really doesn't strike out. They do have some really good bats in that offense. So I don't know if Kluber has 40-point upside here. I don't know if it's likely that he gets 40+. So I'm not going to be on Kluber today. I think the price tag on him is reasonable. I was considering play him since he was only 12.7. If he was like 13K or more, definitely wouldn't be playing him. But I think at 12.7, you could definitely play him, even though the strikeout matchup isn't great. 12.7 for Kluber, given any matchup, obviously is pretty cheap. And Severino, I think Severino is really kind of overpriced here. I think if I'm going to pay up, I would much rather play Kluber. I just think Kluber's likely to score more points and likely just outscore Severino. Severino probably has the better strikeout matchup against Detroit, but I just don't want to pay 12.3 for Severino when I can get 12.7 for Kluber, who is pretty much a way better pitcher. So I think if you are going to pay up today, I would definitely go with Kluber, but I'm not going to be paying up. I like the mid-range today, and I like one of the guys at the value tier. The mid-range pitcher I really like today is Zach Godley for 9,700, getting a matchup against the Mets. I really like this spot for Zach Godley. Godley is a pitcher that has pitched very well this year, and he's in a really good spot here against the Mets. This Mets lineup is really gross. They've been rolling out some really bad lineups. A lot of their trade away a lot of their good players, and their lineup just isn't the same as it was in the beginning of the year. If you just look through this lineup, besides like Cespedes, Conforto, not really any guys in this lineup you're going to be afraid of. Travis d'Arnaud, Brandon Nimmo, Wilmer Flores. Wilmer is good against lefties, but against righties, not great. Dominic Smith, Rosario, those are 2 prospects that are definitely do have potential, but I don't think they're really MLB ready. So this Mets lineup, it's just not good, and this Mets team has also been striking out a lot more versus righties than in the beginning of the year, obviously because their lineup is a lot different now. In the last 14 days versus right-handed pitching, the Mets are striking out 24.4% of the time versus righties. So I think this is a really good spot for Zach Godley. Like I said, he's pitched very well pretty much all year. And Godley does have really good strikeout stuff. In his last game against Minnesota, he managed to rack up 10 Ks, got 8 Ks against the Cubs, managed to get 7 Ks against the Cardinals, 10 strikeouts against Washington, 9 against Atlanta, 8 against the Dodgers, 7 against St. Louis. So Godley does have really good strikeout potential. And given the matchup, it is a really good matchup against a Mets team that you're not really going to fear. And they will strike out. So I do like this spot for Zach Godley. He's actually already faced this team once this year. I'm not sure if that was recent or back when the Mets actually had a decent lineup. But that one time that he faced him, that he put up 23 DraftKings points, pitched 6 2/3 innings, got 7 strikeouts, only gave up 1 run. So Godley has already faced this team once this year, done well against them. So I think Zach Godley's in a good spot here. I definitely think he can get me close to 25 DraftKings points. And if Kluber only gets like 30 and Godley gets 25, I definitely think Godley is the better play there, looking at point per dollar. So I like Zach Godley today at the mid-range for 9,700. And then for my value pitcher that I really like today, probably going to be pretty chalky, but I think it's in a really good spot, is Luke Weaver for 6,900, getting a matchup against the Padres. I really like this spot for Luke Weaver to rack up some strikeouts. Weaver is a pitcher that does have really good strikeout stuff. He really flashed his strikeout stuff when he faced Milwaukee earlier this year. He pitched 6 1/3 inning, only gave up 2 runs, got 8 strikeouts. Pitched against Milwaukee earlier this year, got 26 DraftKings points. And I believe that might be the only game he's actually started this year. He actually started another game before that against Arizona. And in that game against Arizona, he only pitched 5 innings, but managed to get 5 Ks in that game. So Weaver does have really good strikeout stuff, and it's obviously a great strikeout matchup going up against the Padres, a team that does strike out a lot versus right-handed pitching. So far, in the last 14 days versus righties, they're striking out 24.7% of the time, which ranks just above the Mets. So I do really like this spot for Luke Weaver. 6,900, I think that's a reasonable price tag. People might not want to play him at that price since he's only really started 2 games this year. But he has flashed plenty of strikeout potential. The K rate shows that he does have a really good strikeout rate. So I do really like Luke Weaver today as a cheap SP2 option we could target at 6,900. And when we go with Godley and Weaver as our 2 pitchers, we're still left with nearly 4,200 remaining per player. So we have some really good salary to work with when we go with these 2 pitchers. Can definitely fit in some expensive bats. There is a really expensive bat that I really like today that I think is in a great spot that we'll get onto later in the video. But going with these 2 pitchers does allow us to fit in some good bats. But the first bat I like today is going to be at first base. Not an expensive bat here, actually a value play I really like is Matt Carpenter for 3,700, getting a matchup against Julio Chacin. Really like this spot for Carpenter given the righty-lefty matchup. Chacin is a pitcher that does struggle versus lefties. So far this year to left-handed hitters, Chacin, he has allowed a 344 WOBA, and he also will give up some home runs, a 1.47 home run per 9 so far this year to left-handed hitters. Then he also give up a lot of hard contact and medium contact, 50% medium contact to lefties, and 34% hard contact to lefties. So Chacin is definitely a guy we can pick on with left-handed hitters, and I'm going to be looking to do that today with Matt Carpenter. I just think Matt Carpenter is too cheap for 3,700. He's too good of a hitter to be this cheap, and especially given the matchup against Chacin, a pitcher that really struggles to get lefties out. Like this spot for Matt Carpenter. He's also got some BVP backing up the stats as well. He's 2 for 6 against Chacin with a home run, so in 6 at-bats against him, he's batting .333, which is solid. It is definitely a small sample size, but in the short amount of time he's seen him, he has done well. So I really like Matt Carpenter today. Just looking for a value play at first base. I definitely think we can target him for 3,700. And then for my next play, going to be going to second base. There's a stud play I like here, absolutely love. Brian Dozier today for 5,300, getting a matchup against James Shields. Brian Dozier, this guy's been on an absolute tear lately. If you just look at his DraftKings game logs, it's pretty ridiculous. He's had 6 straight games with over double digits, 12, 16, 14, 24, 17, and 21 DraftKings points in his last 6 games. So Brian Dozier just has been on an absolute tear lately. He's in another great spot to really tear it up here against James Shields. James Shields, a guy that just really struggles with lefties and righties, more so lefties, but to righties this year, he still does struggle, giving up a 1.32 home run per 9 to right-handed hitters. He'll also give up a lot of hard contact to lefties and righties. To lefties this year, 44% medium contact and 36% hard contact. And then to righties, 52% medium contact and 33% hard contact. So I really like this spot for Brian Dozier. Love this spot for the Twins bats. They do have one of the highest team totals on the slate right now at 5.6 runs. And there is a lot of value in that Twins lineup. So if you definitely do want to pay for a pitcher today, you can target some of these Twins bats. Max Kepler, Joe Mauer, Eduardo Escobar, a lot of cheap value throughout this lineup. And I definitely think they're going to go off against James Shields. James Shields just gets rocked pretty much every time he steps on the mound. So I love this spot for Brian Dozier. He's also got some really insane BVP against James Shields. It's a pretty decent sample size as well. In 32 at-bats against James Shields, Brian Dozier has 12 hits. 9 of those hits are extra base hits, and 4 of those hits are for home runs. So in 32 at-bats against James Shields, Dozier's batting .375 with 4 home runs. It's just insane. So I absolutely love this spot for Brian Dozier. One of my favorite overall plays on this slate. I think he's definitely going to hit a home run here. I'm hoping for at least 20 DraftKings points, and especially at 5,300, paying that price tag, I think he's going to really pay it off. Dozier has really good upside in this spot, so I like him today as a guy we can target at second base for 5,300. And then for my final play, going to be going to shortstop. Sort of a cheapish play I like here, sort of in the mid-tier, is Didi Gregorius for 4,100, getting a matchup against Jordan Zimmerman. Really like this spot for Didi Gregorius today. given his price tag and the matchup at just 4,100. Didi is a guy that does hit right-handed hitters or right-handed pitchers very well. He's going up against a pretty bad righty today in Jordan Zimmerman. Jordan Zimmerman really struggles with lefties and righties, but more so to lefties. So far this year to left-handed hitters, Zimmerman has allowed a 385 WOBA. Then he also gives up a lot of home runs to lefties, a 1.94 home run per 9 to left-handed hitters so far this year. Zimmerman also gives up a ton of hard contact to lefties as well, 44% medium contact and 40% hard contact. So this is a great spot for the Yankees, great spot for Didi Gregorius. So I'm going to be looking to get some exposure to their offense today. That's another stack that I really like to go along with the Twins bats. Really like the Yankees today as well. They're in a great spot here against Jordan Zimmerman. Zimmerman just not a good pitcher, a guy that we can definitely pick on. So I'm going to be looking to do that today with Didi Gregorius at shortstop for 4,100. And yeah, guys, so these are my 5 plays for tonight. I went with Zach Godley, Luke Weaver, Matt Carpenter, Brian Dozier, and Didi Gregorius. When we plug these 5 guys in our lineup, we are still left with over 4K remaining per player, which I think you can work around today. Like I said, I really like the Twins today. There are a ton of value in their lineup, and I like the Yankees as well. And a lot of their hitters are actually pretty cheap as well. I think Aaron Judge is under 5K. So the Yankees also have some value in their lineup as well. So you should definitely be able to build a lineup around this 5. Or if you want to get my full lineup, then be sure to follow me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. My lineups are $5 a day, or you can get a week of lineups for $25. So if you are interested in that, be sure to message me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. Or if you just have any questions about the slate, or you need to ask me something, you can hit me up on Twitter as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. If this is your first time on my channel, please be sure to subscribe. I do upload these videos pretty much every day, so I really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if you never want to miss out on any videos, if you actually scroll down to where the subscribe button is, there is a little bell icon. If you click that little bell next to the subscribe button, that'll notify you every time I upload. So if you never want to miss out on any videos, be sure to do that as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.